Hi, I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to our 5th Strength and Balance Conditioning class, part of AARP's Moving It Fitness series. Now, if this is your first time joining us for Strength and Balance Conditioning, don't worry, our instructor will explain as we go along and you'll easily be able to participate. The class is suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations. Please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. AARP Missouri also offers another live class called Zumba Light, and we have links to some of our past programs like Tai Chi, Forever Fit, and Movement for Life. You can participate in those from the recordings. You can find those links at aarp.org/movingit. And you can see what classes are coming up there too, like Tyler's next class, which is yoga conditioning. All of our programming is created with people 50 plus in mind, but it's good for anyone of any age, pretty much anywhere. To learn more about these opportunities, please go to aarp.org/movingit. Now, AARP realizes our fitness series like Strength and Balance Conditioning can be great options for anyone who may not be able or who may be hesitant to attend a traditional fitness class, like caregivers or someone with health issues, or just for the convenience of working out at home. In addition to our online fitness classes, AARP also has resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 vaccine information, and technology information on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. Now, if this is your first time with an AARP fitness class, in this class, we're trying out the webinar format, so you're already muted and your cameras are off. Please use the chat and let us know how you're doing, or ask a question or make a comment. Also, if you want to stick around a few minutes after class is over, Tyler will answer your questions about exercises, modifications, or the Color River Studio. Now, let's get started with Strength and Balance Conditioning. Our instructor is Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, take it away.
All right, thank you, Diane. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see, it's great to feel, it's great to imagine all of you on this 5th week. So I have an ambitious class planned for today. So let me go through some of the changes and then we'll get it going. Okay, so first of all, you may remember that in between our strength segments, we worked on our recovery breath, right? Our long inhale, our pause, and our exhale, right? So it is week number 5. We are at a point where if you don't need that recovery breath, we're going to continue to move in between our strength segments to give you an opportunity to increase your heart rate. That's where the fun comes in, but we'll get there in a minute. Also, I just want you to know that it's weeks 5 and 6, so we have 6 brand new exercises for you this week. This week, it's going to take us a little bit more time to break down and teach all the exercises. Next week, we'll revisit them again. We'll have and then we'll have longer training timing protocols for next week's workout. Okay, let's get started. One last thing that I want to say, bring your feet to hips distance apart and just begin to feel your feet in your floor. So Diane mentioned training barefoot. So if you're barefoot right now, use this opportunity to lift and stretch the toes and allow the bottoms of the feet to make more contact with the ground. Come to standing, pause, slightly bend your knees, or just make sure they're not locked out. And then notice, feel the big toe mound, the piggy toe mound, feel the heel, feel yourself ground into the ground. Slightly draw the feet together or find your external rotation in the hips. That's turning the right foot or the right leg right and the left leg left. Feel the glutes turn on. And then lift and lengthen through the spine. Circle sweep the arms up, go overhead if your shoulders find that it's safe to go overhead. Grab your opposite elbow and start to lift your rib cage up out of your pelvic bowl. And notice how that little corkscrew in the feet or that little rotation in the hips, that doesn't make sense. You can chat me, but notice how that helps you engage the glutes and stay perfectly still from the hips down. Come back to your center. Inhale, exhale your arms down to the side. We're going to do a footwork exercise today. Lift all 10 toes, spread them out nice and wide. Place them down on the ground as spread as you can. And then see if you can pull the pads of the toes back toward the heel. So if you look down, you might see that each of your toe has a bit of a knuckle going on, and you might feel your arch start to strengthen. There are a lot of muscles running along the bottom of the foot, connecting the toes, moving over the heel, and going into the lower leg that support your arch. So we're just strengthening all the musculature associated with your arch here. Lift it and separate, spread the toes, come out of that, press the toes down. Notice it's the bottom pads of the toes down. I'm not curling my toes under and making this kind of knuckle situation. I'm pressing the toes down and then sliding the pads back towards my heel. Feel the arches lift. Feel that external rotation in the hips. Feel the sensation all the way up. Draw inner thighs together. Engage your glutes. Inhale in, exhale, release the toes and let yourself go. We'll just move into our foot fold here. Placing the weight in your left leg, just lift and lower the heel of your right foot. Take a moment as the heel lifts to feel the big toe mound and piggy toe mound of the right foot in the ground. We're going to do an exercise involving this today, this movement. So start to pattern this movement. Feel how high the heel can lift over the floor and feel the knee tracking over the toes in this movement. Good. Pause here at the top. Just give yourself a little ankle stretch by windshield wipering the knee back and forth. And then lower. Come back to center, lower your heel down to the ground, shift your weight into the right leg, stand up nice and tall, and then lift and lower left heel. So noticing the symmetry in the body, trying to stand tall out of this balanced leg, noticing if you are shifting the hips in order to maintain your balance and get more into your superficial core, or stack, and then turn on the glute in your balance leg to help you balance. Lifting and lowering the left leg, starting to get mobility in the ankle, feeling your full expression of your foot fold, and then pause and windshield wiper your knee back and forth and feel the stretch on the outside of the lower leg, finding a little bit of mobility in the ankles. All right. Now, this corkscrew is important to me. I've gone over it in every single class. It's like the 27th time we've talked about it, but it's important. So you're going to find that external rotation. Engage the glutes. Slight bend in the knee. Shift the weight to the right side. Step the left foot behind and pause. Now lower and lift the heel from here. So this is the beginning of one of our movements today called a curtsy squat. So you remember, our first movement is always some version of a squat, and today it's a curtsy squat for maybe obvious reasons. Good. Lift the heel, pause, send the weight back on the front leg, flip the top toes down, and then lengthen out of the spine. Oh yeah, how does that feel? So you're getting a nice stretch along the front line of the leg that's behind you. Good. Shift the weight back onto that front foot, and take your foot out. Wiggle, wiggle. Let's change it up. Corkscrew. Send the weight into your left leg. So even if you're on one leg, you can still feel that rotation. Step behind. Now, if you didn't land exactly where you wanted to land, you can make adjustments here, and then lift and lower the ankle here. So I have a little hip injury that I'm working through, but basically your orientation here is still forward in the shoulders and belly button. The hips will be at about a 45 degree. Okay, so just if you're turned and you're facing the side of the room, see if you can lift the rib cage up and rotate the rib cage on the spine. The hips don't have to move, but maybe your chest and rib cage moves. Pause here, shift the weight into your front foot, flip the toes under, and then send the weight back only as much as you can tolerate, pressing the top foot in the ground, just stretching out the front line. You're stretching out your shin, the top of your foot. This might be the muscle that if you roller skate for the first time and you haven't done it in 20 years, it's that muscle that cramps up on you. Shift the weight back into this front leg and then step out of it. So that's going to be your setup for your curtsy squat today. We'll practice a little bit more, or we'll warm up a little bit more. Find your tuck in your anterior and posterior tilt of your pelvis. So start to mobilize your pelvis here. And then we're moving up the spine. So on the curtsy squat, if you needed to use your chair for balance, that's perfectly fine to do. So just know you have a couple of options on that. You can use your chair for that when we move to it in class today. Well, I'll get there when we get to that. Let's go up to the middle part of our spine, to our thoracic spine. That's the spine associated with the rib cage. Take your gunslinger or your pointer fingers, press your fingertips away, look at your thumbs, take the shoulders out of the ears, and open up your back. So particularly feel the shoulder blades separate, and make sure you're breathing. Taking the opposite movement here, separate the hands, start to lift the heart forward, bring your heart and chest forward as the hands reach back, and then open up across the front of your chest. Your eye gaze might lift up and you might be looking where the roof or the ceiling meets the wall. Take an inhale here. Exhale, hands come together, press and round. A little bit quicker, separate, open up your chest. Lift and reach. Exhale, shoot and round. Shoulders come out of the ears here. And then opening up. Feel the shoulder blades come together here. And then bring your hands down to your sides. Drive your swords down in the ground. Right ear comes down to right shoulder. Left earlobe pulls up. To switch, chin comes down, bend the knees. Left ear down, right shoulder or earlobe pulls up. Big breath. Switch. Chin down. Switch. Exhale, chin down and switch. And exhale, chin down and switch. Last time here. And switch. And then chin down to come back into center. Shrug your shoulders up into your ears and lower them down here. So both shoulders at the same time. Then moving into chasing shoulders, take your arms straight out, make fists, and move one shoulder at a time. And as you move into this chasing shoulders, you're elevating the shoulder, pulling it back, and then sliding it down. Each time it slides down, can you feel your lats turn on? So we're just trying to make that connection to our lats, which is part of our core, part of the trifecta of our core. All right, guys, that's our warm up for today. Let's get started. The one thing that I wanted to say that's going to change is in between each exercise, you can take your recovery breath or you can stay active with a step touch. Let's practice our step touch right now. I'm going to start with my right leg. I'm going to step out. I'm going to touch with my left leg, but I'm not going to commit. And then I'm going to step out with my left leg and touch with my right leg. So the touch is just a tap with the toe. So it's step, I commit, touch, step, I commit, touch. So it's a weight shift, step, touch, step. It's like a single leg balance. Step, touch, step. Easy enough, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, step, touch, step, touch, step, touch. Okay, so that's the legs. So you can do this in your recovery, step, touch. With your arms, you can just let them hang down. You can pretend like you have a towel in your hand and you're drying your back. Okay, so step, touch. You can reach your arms forward and pull them in on your step touches. Or, nobody can see you, nobody's screen is on. You can get creative with your step touches. You can make up a new move. You can name your move. If you make up a step touch and you name it, I want you to put it in the chat after class, okay? So that's how we're gonna keep our heart rate up in between our strength sessions if your goal is to elevate your heart rate. Okay, let's learn our moves for today. That curtsy lunge is the first move. You have options here. Curtsy squat is the first move. Week number 1, you learned how to do a squat, right? If this is where you are in your practice, if you're still working on your squat, you stay right here. There's no reason to do that curtsy squat. If you loved the sumo squat and you're still connecting to that, go ahead and choose this sumo squat. That's fine. But if you want to learn a new one, there's the curtsy. You have the option for a chair for balance. And corkscrew the feet. Take the step foot behind you. I'll show you my knees here. And then I'm just going to curtsy, stand, curtsy, stand. So what you want to do here is you really want to play with that external rotation. You want to try to keep the work out of this front knee. Screw this right hip in. Turn on the right glute. Squeeze your inner thighs like you're holding a piece of paper in the inner thighs. And see if you can't let that torque that you create inform this squat. Your back leg is back more for balance, and you're really squatting in this front leg. We'll spend half the time on this front leg, and then load it, step, corkscrew pack, step behind. If you don't land it the first time, find the right spot, and then coming behind on the other side. So take a moment. Can you really feel this external rotation? Can you invite the glute into the exercise? Can you squeeze the inner thighs together? Does that help inform your movement? My weight is in my front foot, but I'm really feeling the glute, so I'm not asking my knee to do a lot of work here. My back knee is bending and my toes are down just to help me with balance. All right, load this front leg, commit, and then come back to stepping. It's perfectly fine to use a prop for this exercise. That's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2, I want to make something really clear here. This is not a shoulder exercise. This is a lat and tricep exercise. So you have a couple of options. If you have a chair, we have learned how to properly hip hinge in previous classes. You pull the hips back behind the knees, and then you can place a hand in the chair. So you have a knee bend and a bit of a hip hinge here. If you don't have a chair, you can just place the hand on the thigh. If you have a weight or a can of beans, place that in your right hand, and you're just going to bend the elbow and pull the weight to your waist, and then punch it back down to the ground. Punch knuckles to the ground, pull the weight up to your waist, and punch it down. So I want you to see that my elbow isn't coming out. That was not correct. Brush your bicep towards your rib cage. And you're just doing this rowing exercise, trying to get the lat. Make sure the weight comes to the waist. A common misalignment is to try to row up into your armpit. And you'll notice my shoulder goes up into my ear. So just pull the weight into your waist and let it go. Now, pull the weight into the waist. Pause here. Pause right here. Only move the elbow, don't move the shoulder. Find extension, feel the tricep turn on, and then bend the elbow. Find extension, bend the elbow. Find extension. A common misalignment here is to try to do more work and get the shoulder. That's not what we're doing. Try to get the shoulder involved. Once you reach your in range at your row, just find extension, come back to your row. Find extension, come back to your row. Let's put the two pieces together. Punch the knuckles to the ground. Find your row, find your extension, find your row, punch the knuckles down. Row, extend. Notice that's a bicep curl when you come out of your extension, and punch. Squeeze the glutes, press your heels into the ground, come up to standing. And we'll switch to the other side. So whether you're using a chair or just using your thighs, feel the hip hinge come back. Place your right hand on your thigh. So let's break it down. We're feeling the row exercise here. So you're pulling the weight into your hip. Pause here. We're we're working our lats. So the row is working our lats. So we've done these exercises. We did this exercise where we tried to feel the lat engage. Now we're trying to feel the lat engage here. Once we've felt the lat engagement means our shoulder is packed and safe. Then we can move into extension from the row. Our extension, remember, is only movement at the elbow joint. We don't need to move the shoulder. That's incorrect. Just move the elbow. And in this extension, we're feeling the tricep, right? So it's a row for the lat and then an extension for the tricep. Notice when you come out of the tricep, it's a bicep curl, right? And then punch the knuckles down to the ground, putting it together, row, extend, come out of it, punch down, row to the hips, extend, come back to the hips, and punch down. Put your weight in your heels, draw your navel to your spine. To exit, squeeze the glutes at the top. Chat me questions. If that doesn't make any sense, let's get to the chair and work on our next exercise. Coming down to the chair, remember in the past couple of weeks, we've been working with this relationship between how far we sit forward and find this hip hinge in our back. Draw your navel to the spine, and then last week we marched. We took opposite legs and we marched. This week, you're gonna elevate I can already tell them I have to lean back more. You're gonna elevate one leg, hold onto the chair, consider elevating another leg. So just playing around with that. My spine is long here. I'm not hunched and rounded. Now you can have an option of just playing with both legs lifted, or from this position, you can open up the right leg, close it, open up the left leg, close it. So you're just working your hip stabilizers here. Open right leg, open left leg. You're gonna feel this on the outside of your hips if you've ever done clamshells in Pilates. In the hips, this will feel like a clamshell. Plus, we're working our core and then coming out of it. Now, the angle that you choose here, so you might choose to be supported in your back to do this work today. So you might go ahead and touch the chair and lean back, or you might pull your back away from the chair and engage through the core a little bit. Also, when I ask you to engage through the core, draw the navel to the spine and take your tail and cashew it a little bit and hollow your body out. So cashewing your tail a little bit. All right, that's exercise number 3. Chat me if you need some prompts or some helps, and I'll help you get those prompts during the timed exercises. Number 4, lateral lunges. I love this one. This is a functional movement that's important for life. But some elements to it. We're going to come to our straddle stance, but our toes are facing forward. Now this is a lunge, so one leg is going to be straight, one leg is going to bend. I'm going to move to my right first. I'm going to bend my right knee, keep my left leg straight. I'm moving to the right, so because I'm moving to the right, that's my bent side. I'm going to stand back up, squeeze the glutes. Now I'm going to move to my left, so I'm going to bend my left leg. Come back up to the front, squeeze, bend to the right. Pause with me right here in the right, okay? Stay right here with me. What's important is that when you move to this position, you pull, go ahead and stand again, but watch from the side angle. When you move to the right, you pull your hips back behind your heels, like we do when we hip hinge, and then you slide your heel back, slide your glute back behind your heel. So I want you to pulse with me here. Just do a little pulse. And I want you to feel the relationship between the heel and the glute, right? So I don't want you to use your knee here. I want you to see if you can take your knee out of the equation here and try to put the work in the back. I just bring my hands together as I lower, press up, lower. I'm bending the right leg, pressing up, lowering. If you want to see how low I'm going, I'm lowering, pressing up, lower, but I'm trying to send the weight or the work to the backside. After halfway through, come up to middle and shift. So you initiate with a hip hinge, slide your booty behind your heel, and then press up out of that foot, out of that posterior chain. Try to see if you can keep the work out of the knee here. So we talked about that last week, trying to put the work in the back side of the body, keeping it out of the front side of the body. This leg is remaining straight for the workout. You don't have to go super deep. It's just about lighting up and firing up that back side. And then come to standing, squeeze the glutes to exit, heel, toe, your feet in to exit. Lats. We've been talking about lats. Wall planks. Remember, we take our bar, bend the bar, feel the lats turn on. Come on over here to our wall for our wall planks. I'm going to step back. Notice I have a slight bend of the elbow on my back My heels are slightly elevated. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to rotate and just come to a side plank on the wall. So I've opened my hips away from the wall and I'm just coming to my side and I can push away. So just a side wall plank here, a slight bend in the elbow, and I'm trying to engage or involve the obliques as I move on my side. I can bend the elbow and create a little bit more pressure. Close the hips, come back to the wall, and then open up, find your wall plank on the other side. So you're finding that lat connection as you're leaning against the wall and just isolating and targeting that lat area. You could also do it on the chair. Now remember, last week we just did planks. We did push-ups too, but you just did planks. You can stay in a plank or you can play around with working on a side plank. It's a little easier on the chair. If you come to a side plank, you can lift the hip a little bit and lower. So it's like a little mini crunch here. And then halfway through, we'll come to a plank, switch on the other side, lift the hips and lower. Keep the shoulder in the pack. We don't want that shoulder traveling in the ear. Keep it in the pack. All right. Switching back, walk the feet forward and come to standing. Last exercise. Hopefully we can get this all in. Warrior 3 prep. So I added this one because this is a little glimpse into what we'll do in our yoga conditioning. For this one, we're going to come to our split stance, which we've done in the past when we were working on these, right? So we know our split stance, shoulders and hips facing forward. I use a chair for this one, by the way. Heel is lifted. So like in the warm-up, we're going to practice lifting and lowering the heel. And notice how much strength is required in the ankle. You're propelling. Notice how it propels your body forward. And then notice how as your front foot absorbs and takes more weight, you can really get to your toes in the back. If you have a bunion, this might not feel great on your bunion. Otherwise, playing with that, maybe you stay right here for level 1. Maybe you press up and lift. Lower back down. Stand tall, launch, lift, lower back down. You can use the chair on the lift. Lift the heel to launch. Touch the chair, lift. Notice I have a bend in this front knee and lower it down. Shoulders over hips. Peel up the heel, launch. Little warrior 3 prep. Little bend in the knee. Soft landing. Load the front leg to switch. Change sides. Opposite foot comes back. Take a moment to set yourself up. Lift the heel and lower. So begin to tap into the ankle strength required. Your toes are really working here too, right? Do you feel the toe strength of lifting and lowering? Begin to feel the momentum, how the heel lift launches you. By the way, it's easier for me to talk. If you want to be right here, you want to turn your chair around, you can do that too. Launch, single leg balance, warrior 3, rear leg extended, front knee is bent, reload, catch yourself. Shoulders over hips, heel lowers, peel the heel up, launch forward. Commit your weight to the front leg, lift the back leg, eye gaze is down. That's kind of the secret sauce to this move. Put your back foot back down. Shoulders over hips, peel up the heel, launch. Warrior 3, eye gaze is down. Bend the knee, start to put the back foot back down. When you bring the shoulders over the hips to complete the phase, then your eye gaze comes forward again. That's your warrior 3 prep. Whoa, a lot of exercises. I wasn't kidding, was I? All right, guys, chat your questions if you have them for me. Otherwise, we're going to get the timer. We're going to get this party started. Only 60 seconds of work this week because we spent a lot of time going over the exercises. Hopefully, you're practicing along with me. Next week, 90 seconds out of the gate, we're going to go. So, first exercise is curtsy squat. So, find your external rotation in the hips. Get ready to commit to placing your leg behind you on one side. That was the dinger. Let's go. So, as you're lifting and lowering, think about, can you find external rotation in your front leg? Can you make a glute connection? Can you put your mind in your glute, put your glute connected to the heel, and allow the work to be in the posterior chain or the back side of that front leg. We got about 1 or 2 more pulses. Now let's switch. Bring the back leg out, re-corkscrew, that was our halfway, step behind, and lower and lift. If you have to make an adjustment on either foot, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, you're beginning to feel this engagement of this rear glute. You're lifting lower and observing, noticing if your trunk, if your chest is facing forward, even though the hips are slightly in a 45-degree angle. There's our timer. There it is. So you have an option, step to touch, get dancy and fancy for your cool down. You can do a little song in your head. I can sing for you or Diane can sing for you. Okay, 5 seconds. Grab your weight. Set yourself up. Hip hinge. Rest here. It's row plus extension. Back to row. Punch the knuckles down. Row to the waist. Extension only comes from moving the elbow. So remember, this isn't a shoulder exercise. So try to resist the urge to move that extension any further than straightening out or extending, putting the elbow into extension. Put your weight into heels, come up, switch weights, hinge back or switch sides, hinge back, punch it down, and let's go. Row and extension. Can you connect your movement with your breath if you're feeling confident about your movement? Now you can rest on a chair here. You can rest on your thighs here. One more round and come to standing. Option for step to touch, okay? Or option for whatever you need. Next exercise is your chair sit. Get it ready, sit it on down in your chair. Pick the level of support, the level of angle that you want. Draw the navel to the spine. Hold onto the chair, lift one leg, then the next leg, and then start to open. You don't have to open super far. You'll notice when I demonstrated it, I didn't open super far. You can only open as much as your mobility. I don't have great hip mobility, so I wasn't able to open that far. So just notice, draw your navel to your spine. Notice if you can feel these stabilizers in the hips working as you open up. That was our halfway point. You can take a rest, reset, navel to spine, one leg, then the next, and open. You don't even have to open your hips. You can just work on sitting still with the legs elevated. Remember last week, we just worked on taps. If you'd like to stay right there and just engage the core in your taps, that's okay too. Trying to give you a lot of variety on where you want to be. Good. Put your weight into your heels. Step up, squeeze your glutes. We're going to move to our lateral lunges here. You can step touch if you're feeling really great about things and you're ready to go. Otherwise, come into your wide straddle stance. We're going to stay on one side, hip hinge. Pull your weight behind your heel, straighten out the leg, and then bend the knee. Straighten it out, bend the knee. So, like in our other exercises, we really want the bent knee to have a pretty close relationship with stacking above the ankle. So I'm going to pause or show you this. We wouldn't want this situation happening. That's not what we're after. We're not trying to put the weight in the knee. We're trying to put the weight back behind. Last time, come up to center, switch sides. Hip hinge, pull your glute behind the knee, load, and then press forward. Squeeze glute to the top. Load, press forward. Load. So you'll notice when I'm loading, it's the hip hinge and the glute behind the heel that allows the knee to stay relatively stacked over the ankle. If this is a struggle for you, just don't go as deep. Try to keep it in this safe range. There you go. That was it. Toe heel the feet in, come to standing. You can recover this way. You can recover with your song in your head. We got side wall planks coming up next. 5 more seconds until we go. Find your plank on the wall, lift your heels, open yourself up. So it's almost like that peeling motion that we've done in class. And you can find your plank on the wall here. And then just isolate the rib cage on your side body. You can lift the hips a little bit. You can have your heels down. You can have your toes lifted. If this is too easy on the wall for you, you can go to the chair where it'll be more challenging. Just tapping into this lateral side of the body. Let's switch here. Close your chest to the wall. Find your other hand. Open up. So this is a moment for an isometric, more of an isometric hold. Sorry, I have my back to you. Draw your navel to your spine. See if you can squeeze your glutes and open up. I'm just going to show you here. Squeeze your glutes and open up the front of your hips a little bit on your wall sit. See how the glutes help you activate the core. Shoulders are unpacked. That's the other part of your core. Walk the feet to the wall. Come out of it. Warrior 3 prep is your last one. Take your little step touches. When I took breakdance lessons or hip hop lessons, this was called top rock. This is your top rock. All right, last exercise. Come to standing. Step your right foot back. Get everything organized. Option to place hands on the chair or your waist and start to prime the ankle. And then you can play around with loading, single leg. It's up to you how long you want to balance. If you want to stay in balance on that one leg a little bit more and then come out of it, go ahead and do that. It's really up to you. There's a lot of different elements of this workout to break down. Let's come to standing and switch side. So hopefully you can pick a piece of this move that resonates with you that you'd like to work on. About 12 more seconds here. The eye gaze is really important in this one. When you launch into your Warrior 3, you want your eye gaze down to the floor. Let's finish up wherever we are. Bring both feet together. Come to standing. Chug it out. Find your pulse. We're going to take our heart rate here because we got one more round of this work. I know I'm running tight on time. I knew it was going to be that way. I told you in the beginning. Ready? Time. Start timing. Stop. All right, that's your number. That is your number. Remember, we multiply that number by 4. We can give you the formula after class. If you don't know what we're doing, just try to remember that number. Let's get ready. We got another round of this workout, 5 minutes to get it in. Bring your feet to hips distance apart. Curtsy squat. Oops, let me get my timer going, guys. TechFit timer. And less rest. Only 15 seconds this time. 3, 2, 1. Hit it. Come behind. Now, you have an option if you want to make this dynamic. If you're feeling super stable with these curtsy squats, you can go dynamic or just stay on this side. All right, if you're just not sure about the transitions yet, stay on this side. If you're feeling comfortable, if you're going with this dynamic option, feel that squeeze in the inner thighs, that stability that you get from the squeeze. Each time you land that front foot, feel the corkscrew. Switch sides if you're dynamic. Switch sides. Otherwise, keep transitioning side to side if you've taken the side to side option number 2. If you're taking the static option, staying on the side, we've moved to the left side. Your choice, just trying to show you some different levels for different needs, different modalities. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come to standing. Take whatever recovery that you want, but it's going to be a fast one. Just 15 more seconds. Row plus extension is our next exercise. You might be setting up your weight and go ahead. Maybe start on the left side this time, huh? I should have done that on the other one. Hip hinge, let's go. Row extension. This round, see if you can begin to sync your breath with your movement. Also, feeling each movement, see if you can work just within the range of what we're asking from you. Notice if you have a need to go beyond, to try to do more, particularly on that extension. Just extending the elbow, we're not elevating the shoulder. Let's switch hands, continuing with your work. Row at the waist, elbow extension. Syncing breath with movement. I don't really want to tell you how to breathe. I just want to encourage you to breathe. When we're doing this more dynamic work, forceful exhalation is fine. Forceful exhalation through the mouth, and that's time. Come to standing, recover how you want. Our next exercise is going to be in the chair with our little open hips exercise. Remember, you have lots of options here. Just keeping the legs down and using your core might be your option. Doing your toe taps might be your option. Or today's option, holding on and then just opening up through the hip. So you can't really have, or I can't, I'm not strong enough to have my arms out on this one. I really want to hold on if I'm going to find this movement in my hips. Now, if I'm going to keep my hips steady, I might play around with not holding on. We're halfway there. Maybe dorsiflex the ankles. See how that changes the exercise? I was pointing my toes before. Draw navel to spine, lift and lengthen through the heart. Feel the tail slightly tucked. So maybe you feel your sacrum or your tailbone touching the chair in conjunction with your sits bones. Woo, this is a tiring one, isn't it? There we go. Put your feet down on the ground. Ground into the heels. Stand up nice and tall. Squeeze the glutes. Take whatever recovery you want. Lateral lunges is our next one. Take your feet wide into your straddle stance. Let's draw our weight over to the left this time. Now you can pulse, or if you're feeling good, you can take the lunges back and forth more dynamically to each side. Okay? You don't have to. You can just stay on that one side. If putting the work in your posterior chain and trying to keep your knee, it's not that your knee isn't working, it's that you're trying to not make your quad do all the work, and you're trying to ask your backside to do some of the work. That was our halfway timer. So switch sides if you're staying on one side, or switch to your dynamic. This one is challenging, I know. It's a little bit harder to teach this one online, but hopefully those principles are resonating with you of hinging, pulling your glute behind the heel, hinging, pulling your glute behind the heel. Good, toe heel your feet together. Getting ready for our side wall planks. Come up to the wall, find your spot on the wall. I'm gonna do mine from the chair this time. Coming to plank on the chair. I'm gonna peel open, find my side plank on the chair. Little extra hip lifts. Now here I can draw the navel into the spine, firm the glutes. I have that shoulder pat going on. I don't know why I put my arm up. It doesn't have to be up. It can be right here. And I don't have to do this little thing with the hips. I can just work on focusing here. Drawing navel to spine, squeezing glutes, packing shoulder, breathing, making sure you breathe. Always breathe. Sometimes when we balance, that's our halfway point. Sometimes when we balance, we have a tendency to hold our breath. So notice in that shoulder pack, it's critical. You don't want to be up here with the head resting. Push the shoulder away, and then notice your neck is in alignment with the rest of your spine. You're not wonky in your neck here. Bring the ear up so that the ears are even between the shoulders There's the countdown. Bend the knees, step forward, come to standing. Warrior 3 prep is our last exercise. Let's start with the left foot back this time. Remember, wide stance, step the left foot back, lower and lift the heel, option to float. Load, peel up, commit to that front leg, float the leg, back leg. Bend the front knee to load. So come out of it nice and controlled. Push onto that front leg, float the back leg. Load by lowering down. Bringing shoulders over hips. Time to switch legs. So this is a little nuancy. This is a little nerdy. A little single leg balance. Preparing you for a Warrior 3. Playing around with all kinds of elements that are involved in balance, like where your eye gaze is, like how you shift your weight and when. And that was the timer. Step back, toe heel the feet together, find your pulse. That was the end of our workout. Hopefully I covered it all. Get ready to count. Start counting now. Stop. Okay, so a couple of things you can do. You can record that second number. You can compare it to your first number. Let's just take some decompression exercises. So finding some hip roots here as I chat with you and as we cool down from our exercise. So you can notice if changing how you recovered between the sets elevated your heart rate, and if that was something that was attractive to you or something that didn't work for you. Circle sweep your arms up, reach overhead, lift your heart, exhale the arms down to the sides, walk the feet a little bit wider, start to find some gentle swings in the trunk, allow the hands to just flop and slap against the sides as you rotate. And then coming back to center, place your hands on your hips, send your seat back like a squat, bend your knees deep, let your chest rest on your thighs, option to bring your hands to the chair, I moved it out of the way, to the chair, to the ground, let your head hang heavy. Breathe in, put your weight back in your heels, lift your eye gaze up, stand up. One more time, reach up overhead, nice and tall. Exhale the arms down to the sides. It's a pleasure and an honor to share this practice with you. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.